My name is Alexis Torres, and I'm interviewing Jeanette Lopez on the topic of 287G in Culpeper, Virginia. The time is 7:40 and the date 7:40 p.m. and the date is January 24th, 2019. How did the 287G affect you and your family, or even family friends?
Personally, it didn't affect me any, but I knew friends that were being affected by this, and it hurt me to see them going through something like this.
So, what did you hope to get from the gathering on January 5th of 2018?
To be honest, that day I really just went to see what it was all about. I didn't think that I was going to be a representative or an advocate at the end of the day. I was just there as pretty much just to listen to everybody else and to see what I could input on that subject.
What was some of your fears that evening?
My greatest fear would be that the 287G would split our community in half in terms to opinions, and that people would make decisions based on what they heard instead of actually finding out really what it was, how this was going to affect families.
So, what are some of the events that led up to the 287G that day?
Before?
Yes.
Before, I think there was just an email that went out to some of the people that they thought that they could help out and give an input.
So that's how you think so many people in our community of Culpeper found out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you describe what you saw the evening of January 5th, 2018?
I think one of the things that I saw when I got there, I didn't expect them to be so many people.
Okay.
And also, I didn't expect to see so many people actually support a lot of people in our community.
So you would say that it was more than what you expected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which event in history reminded you of that night? That night, because it was already dark.
Honestly, I follow a great supporter who was Chavez in California many years before my time, and I read a lot about him in history, and it reminded me of us going back into there where so many people already have been trying to get out of where we were before.
So is there a specific point in history where you thought that night looked like something back then?
I can pinpoint an actual date.
Would you say like when segregation, when the African Americans and the Caucasian people were not battling, but in the same thing, like civil rights?
Yes. I felt like there was definitely going to be a huge opinion about it, and it was definitely going to split as a segregation because people, see other people differently.
Do you think that affected the? I don't know if it would affect teenagers, but do you think parents of elementary school kids went back home and told them that they needed to treat their Hispanic classmates a certain way because of the 287G?
I think it opened a door for a conversation to have with your kids, whether they were in elementary, middle school, or high school. I think it opened that door because obviously, elementary, middle school, and high school kids, they have kids that, are Hispanic or are of Latino descent. And, going back to talk to your child, now you have to kind of separate them. It's kind of like, but it definitely, I think it affected them.
Do you have, so you said that you don't have any, like, or that doesn't affect you, but it affects friends?
Yes.
Could you go into detail with that?
Well, I know of families that have been affected by 287G. I knew of one family, they have two daughters and the husband, and definitely this law will affect them a lot. And so it was a big concern because they're very active in our community and active in the church. So I knew them very well, and it hurt me to see them pull away from the church and pull away from the community because they didn't want to maybe stand out. And so that, in itself, I think it affected me in that sense where we didn't have that extra support anymore at our church.
So, basically, do you think our Latino community here in Culpeper was, after that day, was kind of scared to go out in public?
Yes. And a lot of people, their biggest concern was to be the target. So to be the target, whether it was at Walmart or walking or
taking kids to school.
So the fear lifted from maybe being that 1% to being 80%. And so people were very, even at our church, people did not go to the Spanish Mass because they were that concerned. A lot of people did not go out past 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
What about to this day, January 24th, 2019?
To this day, I think that people have been more acceptant. And when I said acceptant in our community, we have had a lot of support from our community, actually support the Hispanic community. So that has eased a lot of the nerves down. There's still a lot of fear with parents. I think parents are the ones that are more fearful because they have kids and neither of them want to be pulled away from their kids. Mm-hmm. And so there's still the fear there, but not as it was back last year, 2018.
So what would you say your biggest accomplishment that day was? Leading up to that day even?
I think my biggest accomplishment was I found a voice for my Hispanic community. I became an advocate and I didn't even know that I actually had that voice. I was just a person, a regular person, just, and then now I'm the leader of 287G here in Culpeper. So definitely
you're the leader to help them have that voice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we have a Facebook page, and we get together and we speak, and we try to be involved in things that are going on in our community because of that. So that has opened up that door, and it's definitely been a struggle. But I have to say that I met great people throughout it.
So, is there anything that you would have like to have done differently that day?
More informed.
Inform the Latino community or inform yourself?
Inform myself. I think that I would have liked to have been more open in my opinions from the beginning, and I think I was.
What do you mean open in your opinions?
When it first started with the 287G, and people would ask me, I would say, well, I don't know a lot about it, or I don't know enough about it, or I really can't give my opinion, or I don't want to give my opinion.
So today you think you know enough about it to?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit about what 287G is?
Well, 287G, what it is it gives the permission to the sheriffs to act as an ICE person and hold people in their jails past the 24 hours or the 48 hours. So they hold them there, whatever the penalty is. So if you get pulled over for no license, if you get pulled over...
What about for a light being out of your car?
Yes.
Okay.
You can be arrested and you can be detained.
And that's still to this day, January 24th,
yes.
2019.
Yes.
And how many counties or how many states do you know that has the 287G put in place?
Oh, well, we know the closest one is Prince William County. We know that we, here in Culpeper, they passed it. I know they are trying to pass it in other states. I don't know, which ones, but I know they have. So it's definitely affected a lot of families, usually, like on Fridays, they have this, the sheriff usually has like the roadblocks, and so I like to call them ambush, because they will ambush these people, and these are people that are coming from work. They're not people who are just out there doing bad things.
Criminals.
No.
Okay.
They're people that are coming from work, and they usually.
Have you yourself experienced one of those roadblocks?
I did.
And how was that experience for you?
So they pulled me over, and this was after Christmas.
Because you're Hispanic, correct?
I am, yes.
And I'm pretty sure since you're Hispanic, they not targeted you, but they tried to treat you like
different.
Somebody that wasn't born here.
Yes. Yes.
Can you explain your experience?
It was after Christmas, and they had a roadblock coming off of 29, going into Culpeper.
Okay, so like the first exit here.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, obviously you can see the lights as you're coming in that curve. And so when you come close to the sheriff, they'll actually, they don't ask you why they're there. They don't tell you why they're there. They'll ask you for your driver's license registration. You ask them pretty much, what's the problem, officer?
So even if you are illegal here in the United States, you still have rights, correct?
Correct.
And do you know any of those rights?
I am not a legal person. I can't really go into this because I am not
like a lawyer.
Okay. To say that, but you do have rights, and you have one of the rights that you do have is you can keep silent if they do ask you questions. You have the right to keep silent.
Okay.
Obviously, but definitely, it is a concern in our community.
Is there anything that you specifically would like to say about what happened January 5th, 2018?
Well, what happened was obviously they had a meeting, and we had hoped that it wouldn't be signed. The sheriff would not sign the contract with ICE, but he ended up signing it. So from there on, I think our group has probably grown bigger. We went from having 10 to 7 people to now having close to about 1,000 and something in our group. Yes.
And that's the group on Facebook, or just your group in general?
Our group on Facebook. It's about 1,200, and our group in general that usually meets went from 3 people now to about 110 people.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Is there anything important that you think I missed?
No, I think just keep pushing ahead. I mean, whenever you ever want to give up on something that you truly believe, don't give up, because, if the people do come back at you and say stuff, it's because you're on the right track, definitely. So don't give up. I have wanted to give up a lot, just because obviously it takes time. It takes a lot off of you. And patience, but it's rewarding at the end of the day, and I think we're there.
All right, well, it was nice meeting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Lexi.